gonna say hi? Yeah. You gonna say hi? Mwah. My twin. Okay, so this video is gonna be about my pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and about my little chunky butt. Yeah. So if you're not into those kind of videos, then exit, I don't know. But I mean, if you want to know, then this is my story. So if I start crying, I'm sorry. I do get a little emotional about this, but anyways, so as of today, Emiliano is 6 months and 3 days. He is a little active boy. He loves to smile. He loves to laugh. He loves to roll over. He's not starting to crawl, but when he's on the floor on his doing tummy time, he wants to scoot. But he can't sit up by himself yet. He can and he can't. He keeps wobbling to the left, but we're getting there. So I found out I was pregnant with him on January 10th of 2018 in my work bathroom. I had bought the pregnancy test. It was just one of those regular ones. The lines were like really faded. So I asked my coworker, Casey, I was like, she was the first person to know. I was like, is this positive? I can't really tell. She said it was. I mean, it looked positive. They were just faded. So I went and got one of those clear blue ones, you know, like the high-tech ones that say pregnant. If I can put the video in, I will. And it said pregnant. So went to the doctors, everything's fine. I never, ever got sick with him. Oh my goodness, what are you smiling at? Never threw up once, never had like weird smell, like sickness. Like I could eat anything and everything and I was fine. People were like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. I was like, I don't know. But my mom said that she never threw up or anything like that either. So I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's like a genetic thing, but whatever. So my pregnancy is going great. The only thing is that I'm really tired. Like I had the worst fatigue during my first trimester. All I wanted to do was sleep. So, my tours, in my second trimester is when I started like swelling, like insane swelling. Like I knew it wasn't normal. Everyone else knew it wasn't normal. My feet were so swollen, like I could barely walk on them because they were so fat. It was so uncomfortable. It was the worst thing ever. I would go to my doctor's appointments and my doctor would be like, okay. So I had to not restart this, but come back a different day. This one wearing different clothes. So where I left off was that I had become really swollen to the point where it was like physically hurt to walk. And I was at work. Thankfully, they were very, very, very helpful. Everyone at my job, they let me sit down majority of the time and let me prop up my feet. That way I could get blood circulation going. Although it helped, it didn't help. But I mean, I was still going to work and everything. But so further along, my swelling was just getting worse and worse. And then I started getting started getting dizzy. Like I was seeing like spots in my eyes. It was really weird. So I went to the hospital for that. And They sent me home. Everything's fine. It happens. Okay. Just get plenty of rest, drink plenty of water, which I already do. I would carry a gallon of water around with me. My gynecologist, or my doctor or whatever, she would just keep telling me it was salt. That's why I was swelling so much, because of salt. Okay, so I limit the salt. Very hard to limit salt when a lot of foods already naturally have salt, or I don't know, I would look at any kind of like food, like diet food, this and that, whole bunch of salt. It's like, it's hard. I also had gestational diabetes. I got diagnosed with that at like 26 weeks, I think. Yeah. This is around the time also that all this stuff was happening to me. It was like further along and towards the end of my second trimester into my third. So all this stuff was happening, and I went to the hospital at least 3 times. The third time is when no, sorry. Let me back up. I went to my appointment, okay, and I had high blood pressure. The first time I've ever had high blood pressure throughout my pregnancy. She wanted to send me straight to the hospital, but she didn't. She put me on high blood pressure medicine. I believe I was either 33 or 34 weeks at this point. So she sent me home with that. I took it for, was it? No, it was that same day actually. She's like, if you feel like you're gonna pass out, or you're dizzy, or you start seeing spots, anything like that, go to the hospital immediately. And I did. So I went to the hospital, and every time they go, they test your pee to see if you have protein in your pee, or urine, sorry. Because it can lead to preeclampsia, which is dangerous when you're pregnant. And they found protein in my urine. So I had to stay overnight in the hospital because you have to do a 24-hour urine, and they found a very high level of protein in my urine. I'm 36 weeks at this point, because I remember it was a Friday. And the only cure for preeclampsia, if you ever had it, is giving birth, because it's very dangerous for you and the baby. So the doctor was like, so you will be giving birth at 37 weeks. I was like, all right then. If I wouldn't have gone to the hospital so many times, or told my doctor like I just don't feel right or anything like that, because she acted like, she's like, oh, it's just salt, it's just salt, it's just, I wanted to pour salt on her face. Okay, well, turns out I had preeclampsia. So I was on bed rest at this point. I had to stop working. So the week passed. Thankfully, my husband was here at this time, because he was on deployment and he got sent home for medical reasons. And it all just worked out perfectly. Because if I was there by myself going through all this, I would have gone, I mean, I wouldn't have been by myself, but it's different not having your significant other. But he was there, thank goodness. So yeah, 37 weeks. I go to my checkup on Thursday to see if I'm, what's it called? No. Wow. What the heck is it called? Dilated. That took me forever to see if I'm dilated. I was not one bit. So I had to go to the hospital that same night. They started me with oral whatever they gave me to help me dilate or open my cervix or whatever. The pill, they gave me half a pill every, I think it was 4 hours or something like that. And I dilated 1 centimeter. So I wasn't dilating fast enough, so they put some flat tampon looking thing up me. That was the most uncomfortable thing ever, having that. I had to have it inside for 12 hours, getting up to pee. It was horrible. That only dilated me 2 centimeters, and they wanted me to be 4 before they started inducing me, but the doctor went ahead and said, let's start the Pitocin. So they started giving me the Pitocin. So I went in Thursday night. This is Friday morning around 9 a.m. No, 7 a.m. when they started inducing me. Around 9 a.m. is when they broke my water. So I'm starting to get contractions. I can feel them, but they can't see them. And I don't know what it's called, but it looks like a long catheter, okay? 4 times they put a catheter looking thing up my vag. It was horrible, because if you know, they wrap those bands around your stomach so they can detect contractions and the baby's heartbeat. Well, since they couldn't find my contractions, that was another way to look at contractions. I had 4 people try it on me, and they still could not detect my contractions. Oh my gosh. I was gonna die. I was so, at this point, I was like, why? Why do you keep trying if you can't do it? Well, they eventually just like, oh, we're not gonna try this anymore. We're just gonna put the band right back around you. Okay. So I'm starting to feel these contractions, but they can't feel them, so I have to tell them when it's happening. And I was like really debating on whether to get the epidural. I ended up getting it. I was at 4 centimeters, because when they check to see if you're dilated, I don't know if this is TMI for some people, but for other people, whatever. It is, I almost cried. It was so painful. They said that my cervix was like really high up there, and it hurt so bad. And at this point I was like, no, I cannot take this anymore. I need this epidural, because I cannot take, I couldn't take them sticking their fingers at me more than the contractions. That was more bearable than that. So I got the epidural, which was a breeze. They said I did like fantastic. I was like, I heard so many stories about the epidural, like it's so painful. You're gonna, they just made it seem so scary, and it wasn't. It was the best thing ever. If you're pregnant and you don't get that epidural, you crazy, because it was the best thing ever for me. So anyways, I'm not dilating at this point. Still at 4 centimeters for a while. I finally bumped up to 6 at one point. And then from there, like 4 or 5 hours have passed. Still nothing. It is around 9 o'clock at night at this point. So I've been in labor for 12 hours. Still nothing. The doctor came in, he checked me, and he's like, we're gonna have to do a C-section, because your water has been broken for too long. We have to get this baby out of you, because you know you have preeclampsia. And I was like, at this point, if we got to, we got to. I really didn't want to, but honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do it vaginally, just because of how like high my cervix was or whatever. So it's like 9-ish when he tells me that. So he's like, there's someone in the operating room right now, so we can't get you in there until they're done. So I didn't go into the operating room until around 11:30 at night. So I was just sitting there waiting. So we get in the operating room. It's freezing in there, freezing. I'm shaking like a maniac. You would think I'm having a seizure. If you ever had a C-section, I'm pretty sure you experience the same thing. Like you're just shaking like this, like, and I have all this like pain medicine, and it was really bad. And so they moved me from my bed to the other bed. They cover me up right here. Kevin doesn't come in until it's like right time to start this procedure. So I'm literally shaking, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I just can't stop shaking. They're like, "It's normal, it's because of the medicine or whatever." And he gave me more medicine to numb me more. And okay, so it's time. They're starting to cut, and I felt it on my right side. I was like laying down. I was like, I felt that, and he gave me even more medicine. It's like, how in the world did I just feel you cut into me? So Kevin's in here at this point, and he's, you know, soothing me, making sure I'm okay. Honestly, I'm not. I'm freaking out. So they're like, "Okay, Dad, it's time to get up. Take out your camera." And he's just like, "What?" He stands up, and they're pulling him out of me. Like, you know, they took him out of me. And I wasn't thinking about it at that point, because I feel like I was so doped up. But I didn't hear him cry for like the first like 30 seconds to a minute, I feel. And at that point, I wasn't thinking. And when we were in the room, that's when I was like, you know, I didn't hear him cry for the longest, you know? But obviously he did when they put him on that way thing. He was 7 pounds, 13 ounces, 19 inches, something like that. I don't know if I'm a bad mom if I don't remember that. But Kevin got to see them take it out. I have the video. I might put it in here. I might not. We will see. It's not that graphic, honestly. I don't know if I can get in trouble for showing that, but we'll see. So at this point, they take Kevin and the baby out of the room. I'm still in the operating room. They're still stitching me up or whatever it is that they're doing. So I got to hold my baby for like 2 seconds. And that wasn't even me holding him. He was just wrapped up in that blanket on my chest along with Kevin. And that's when they take him and Kevin and they go back to the room. I didn't go back to the room for like another 15-20 minutes. And I finally got to hold him, you know, the skin to skin. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So we did skin to skin. He was born at 11:50 p.m. on September 1st. So it's past midnight by this time. My mom and my mother-in-law are there, and my father-in-law. Only 2 people were allowed in the room with me and Kevin. Oh, Hannah and Megan were there. So Hannah and Megan were, no, my mom and my mother-in-law were in the room when Kevin went with the baby. So then I came into the room. I did skin to skin, and then eventually everyone left. And it's like, so I fed him, laid him down in his little crib thing. He did wake up. I think it was around 2-ish. We fed him again. And then around 4, a nurse walked in and was like, I'm taking him back to the nursery to, you know, do whatever it is they do. It's like, okay. And time passed. I fell asleep because I'm also on magnesium, which I'll tell you about that in a minute. then time passes. Someone walks in. It's around 7 a.m. And I realize my baby isn't here. And when they come in, they're like, we had to admit Emiliano into NICU because of his breathing. He was breathing really fast. And they tested, like, they do like blood tests or whatever. And they did find an infection in his blood. So he had to be treated for that. He was in the NICU for a total of 10 days. I feel like my story is just all over the place. Okay, so from this point, from 11:50 since he was born until 4 a.m., so a total of 4 hours and 10 minutes, I got to hold my baby twice. I can't leave the bed because I'm on magnesium. I have to be on it for 24 hours because I have preeclampsia and they can't risk me having seizures. So Kevin is the one that went down to the NICU to find everything out. He's the one who got to see him. I can't go down there until I get off this magnesium, which would be midnight of September 2nd. So people were coming to visit, but everyone was going down to the NICU to see him. I can't even see my own baby, but everyone else can. And it was really hard because I was on this bed and I'm sorry. Not being able to see him. I was completely out of it because of this medicine that I had to be on. Kevin would FaceTime me, but it just wasn't the same. I was in so much pain because of the C-section. So other than the magnesium draining me, I was so out of it. Like, people would come and visit me and honestly I couldn't remember the conversations we were having, or I'd fall asleep. Like, I didn't even know, I'd just fall asleep. So the time finally comes that I got to get off this magnesium. It's like midnight. So they wheel me out of there. Getting out of bed was the most painful thing ever. I mean, they did have some pretty good painkillers, but you know, they fade. At that point, mine was fading. So we went to our room, the room that they put us in. The the mother room where unlimited people can come visit. The other room, only 2 people could. So we get there, we put our stuff down, and then they take me down to the NICU to see him. And he has really bad jaundice. So we go down there. I couldn't even hold him still because he couldn't leave from under the light because his jaundice was so bad. He had all these wires connected to him, the IV. He had this mask over him. I couldn't even see his face. I feel like this was the hardest part of everything and what I went through, because towards the end of my pregnancy, it was so hard. Everything was hard. Everything I was going through. And then when it comes time to having him, I can't even see him. I can't even hold him. Not only because of that, because of my C-section, I can't really get up out of the chair and lean over this glass thing that he's in. So at that point, you can stay down there in the NICU, but I'm still admitted into the hospital. So I have to go back up. I mean, I can stay down there, but I have to go back up because I have to get rest because, you know, I just had a major surgery. So we go up there, we wake up really early to go back down there to see him. Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong? So we go back down there to see him. We stay down there for a few hours, go back up so I can eat, all that stuff. And I still can't hold him because of the jaundice. So I didn't get to hold him again since he was born until, I think it was like September 4th, somewhere around there, where they said that he can be removed from the light. I was able to feed him, but he had to be sitting up like this, and I had to feed him like that with the bottle. I couldn't remove him from the light and just hold him. Excuse me. So I'm finally getting discharged from the hospital. So with a C-section, you have to be there for 3 days. It's like really late. It's like midnight. We go down there to see him. Now, I gave birth at Brandon Hospital in Florida. Since he was in the NICU, you can stay in the NICU. It's a 24-hour visit thing. They have chairs and everything for you. They only have 2 rooms for families to stay in. 2. And they were always full. And I asked the nurse, I was like, are we allowed to stay here all night with him? She's like, yeah, you just can't sleep. Just like, what? Hey, what's wrong? Okay, so you can't sleep in the NICU, in the actual NICU where they are. You have to be awake the whole entire time, because if you're there, you have to take care of them. Obviously, it's your baby. But if you aren't there, they take care of them. So what me and Kevin had to do was wake up very early in the morning to go see him. We'd stay there all day until nighttime. And that's where it got worse for me too. It's because I just gave birth to this beautiful human being who's in the NICU because he had an infection and he's being treated for it. Nothing even that serious, but still he's in the NICU. He has all these wires connected to him. He has a, I forget what it's called, but they stuck this like wire thing all up his arm into his, around here, so that they could put this medicine into him so he didn't have to have this IV. But every night when we had to leave, it was so hard, because how does one just leave their baby there knowing that they're not going home with you? They're your child, and you can stay there with them, but you can't at the same time. You're recovering, and you can't sit there for a long period of time. I have to get rest, or else I'm gonna like puncture or my incision, or anything can happen to me. I can barely walk. So we had to leave every night, and it hurt so bad because I just wanted to be there with him. And I'm so happy that Kevin was able to be there with me, because he was probably still be on deployment, but he wasn't, and I was so grateful for that. Eventually, he was in the NICU for 10 days, so a whole week we went through that, and it was just really hard, because I just wanted to be with my baby. I wanted to hug him and hold him and kiss him, and I couldn't, even though he's being a turd right now. I'm laying down. So we eventually got to bring him home. At this point, Kevin leaves in 3 days to go back to California. So eventually it was time for him to leave. So I was in this house by myself. I did live by myself at that point. I did have, you know, family, friends that would come over. But I was so attached to him. I wanted to be the only one to hold him, because I was separated from him for so long. I wanted him for myself, and I feel like no one understood that. It was just me. And how am I supposed to tell people that I don't want him to be away from me? I want him right there. Sorry. Okay, so I think like a week or two passes, because because he was just turning a month. Me and Kevin decided that I was going to move to California because I couldn't be there alone with him, and he needed his dad. He needed his parents. And so I did quit my job and moved to California so that me and Kevin could be together, and obviously so Emiliano could have his parents, and not only me. And I think it was the best decision that we could have made, because Emiliano would have been without his dad for a few months, and I don't think I could have done that. I don't think he could have done that. It just wasn't realistic. How could you just separate? You know, you can't just separate because of that when you have the choice to be together. So that's what we did. When we were in California, I'm so insecure about myself. I've never looked this way in my life. I weigh more than I've ever weighed in my entire life. I have stretch marks. I have fat flab. I have these chubby cheeks. I have a double chin. I'm just so insecure, and I can't, like, I would cry every night. And Emiliano was going through colic, and that would make me cry because he wouldn't stop crying nonstop, and it's just overwhelming. You know, you're not sleeping, you're very tired, you're not eating right, and I would just cry. And Kevin would try to, like, comfort me, and he tried to ask me, like, what's wrong, and I can't tell you what's wrong because I don't know. All I know is that I want to cry because I'm not myself. I haven't felt like myself for the past month. I feel like I'm a completely different person. Emotionally, physically, mentally. All I could think about was like, how am I gonna lose all this weight? I would look at pictures of my old self, and I still do. I'm just like, I want to be her. And then it's like, I am her. And my friends would tell me, or friends, close friends, people, that I have, oh my goodness, I have postpartum anxiety because I was going through a lot. I didn't want to be around people really. Large crowds still do freak me out. I can't go anywhere without shaking or looking around, and I'm just like, I'll start freaking out now. And I'm trying my hardest not to do that, but it's hard not to. And this has never happened to me before, and it keeps happening. I think I eventually am gonna talk to my doctor about it, but overall, it was hard in the beginning, but now I have my little chunky butt. Even though he's a little turd, he's my little blessing. Say hi. Say hi. But yeah, I don't know if that's it. I don't know if I went over everything, but sorry. I get really emotional when it comes to this, and I didn't like to tell people that I was emotional, but another thing is like, people would ask me like, oh, when are you gonna have your second one? And I hate that question, honestly. I really do, because I wanna enjoy him. I don't want to be thinking about having another kid when I have this one to enjoy. My pride and joy. If me and Kevin want to have kids in the future, then we will. If we don't, then we don't. I went through a lot through this pregnancy, and I feel like if I did another one, honestly, this is one big thing that's stopping me, is I don't think I can do it. I really don't. Physically and mentally, I don't think I could have another baby. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having this little boy right here. I'm okay with having one child. But yeah, that's my story. I'm sorry it was all over the place. I don't know if I left anything out. If I did, it's probably because I didn't want to mention it, or I just forgot. My, mom brain. Mom brain is pretty bad. But thank you for watching. I hope that you liked it, I guess, or if that helped anyone, or if you had similar things like this, let me know. We can talk, give each other advice, give me advice. I would love to hear from other moms, that even though I already have, from a few that have similar situations. Well, yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for putting up with this the whole entire time. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to be doing more and more videos, like vlog type things. They're not going to be really long, like short videos. What is this kid doing? He just wants to move around. Yeah. 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 So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that my story can at least help somebody out there, or if you're going through a rough time with your pregnancy or anything like that, maybe I can give you some advice, or I don't know, maybe I can't, but just know you're not alone. I know I'm not alone, and thank you guys, and anyone that has ever helped me through anything, my family, my friends, even people that I've hardly talked to, reached out to me and tried to help me, and I'm forever grateful for that. But thank you guys for watching. Bye. What? What's so funny? What's so funny? What's so funny? What? What? Why are you so funny? Why are you so funny?